Hey everybody, hope you're doing well today. I'm Dr. Doug Martin. I'm a professor in the Department of Environmental Health and Safety Management at Northeastern State University. This is my profile video. Each of the faculty in our department make a profile video when we put it on the YouTube channel, and the objective of these videos is to let you know a little bit more about us outside of class. You know, in class, we're businesslike, we're serious, we've got a limited amount of time to cover a lot of material. So we really, at least in my case, don't have a lot of time for you to know who we really are. In this video, I'm going to talk about hobbies, my family, my pets, and at the end of the video, hopefully you'll have a little bit more insight, understanding that, hey, you know, he's not just a safety robot, he's a real person. Tell you a little bit more about my educational background. I'm a lot like most of you students in the classroom or at NSU. I'm from Northeastern Oklahoma. I graduated from high school in a little town north of Pryor, Adair High School. And that was a long time ago, and I'm not going to go into how many years ago that was, but I graduated from Adair High School. And also, like you guys, I ended up at Northeastern State University. And I had a great time here as an undergraduate. And after NSU, I went to Oklahoma State University. I kind of caught the bug. I wanted to become a professor, so I went to Oklahoma State, finished my master's degree at Oklahoma State, and then I finished my PhD at Oklahoma State. I spent about 6 years there as well to finish up the master's and the PhD. While I was at Oklahoma State for 5 of those 6 years, I had my own classes. I taught several different classes at Oklahoma State while I was a graduate student, and that was a great experience preparing me for my future life. When I finished my PhD at Oklahoma State, my first full-time faculty job was at Northwest Missouri State University in Maryville, Missouri. Great football teams up there. They've won several national championships. It's really cold that far north in Missouri. After 5 years, my wife and I were ready to head back to Oklahoma. In 1999, I got a call from a friend of mine who I met in Oklahoma while I was at Oklahoma State University. This friend had a small construction company, and he made an offer I couldn't refuse. His small construction company was having a horrific time with safety. They were having 35, 40 recordable injuries a year. They were having OSHA problems. They hadn't had any fatalities, but they were heading that direction if they didn't do something about it. So this friend who owned the company called me and asked me if I would come and help them start a safety management program or a safety management system for the small company. It's 250 employees. And again, it was an offer I couldn't refuse. He doubled my salary, going from a professor to working as a safety manager, safety director for his company. At the time, that was really hard to turn down. And that started my safety career, my career as a safety professional. For the next 20 years, I worked for 3 different companies that specialized in highway and bridge construction. Most of my experience was with bridges. And after 20 years, I had the opportunity to come back to NSU, and here I am at NSU. All right, well, that tells you a little bit more about my educational background. I do have the Certified Safety Professional certification also, as well as the master's and the doctorate. But that pretty much is about all I can say about educational background. I do want to point at the shelves behind me. This is evidence of one of my hobbies. I enjoy woodworking, and mostly I got into woodworking because I was too cheap to hire someone to do it. I would get quotes on a job like this. This is a 10-foot ceiling, 10-foot shelves, 14-foot long. The estimate was like $8,000 to build this and install this for me. So I thought, now I'm getting me a table saw and I'm going to figure out how to do it myself. And this is one of my first projects. I've had several others, and I enjoy woodworking when I have time. Time is not always readily available though, so I don't get to do a lot of it anymore. But I still have my tools. I'm still, if I need a end table or a nightstand or something for the office, I can get out the table saw on a Saturday afternoon and get that thing put together. Well, here we are out at the Illinois River. This is one of my favorite places in Cherokee County. I spent a lot of time out here when I was a student at NSU, Illinois River and Barren Fork Creek. Barren Fork Creek is really my favorite because it's more off the beaten path and not as many people know about it. But had a lot of good times out here as a student. The main reason I brought you out here, I wanted to share another one of my hobbies with you, and that is bridge construction. You can see the bridge behind me. This is a bridge that I was a part of when it was being built at just a few miles from Tahlequah. It's not a real fancy bridge, it's not a real complicated bridge, but it was a cool job to be a part of. Probably been involved with over 100 bridges, the construction of over 100 bridges over the last 20 or so years. It's not complicated construction. The biggest hazards of bridge construction would be the heavy loads that we're lifting, also the fall hazards, equipment hazards, and also the traffic hazards, traffic passing through a work zone. Those were my 4 big concerns when I was working as a safety manager for a bridge construction company. The one thing I make time for, and it's really not a hobby, I think it's essential for my sanity and my health. I try to work out at least 4 times a week, better yet 5 or 6 times a week, about 10 hours a week. I try to get in my workouts. And part of the workout is here at the Fort Gibson football stadium. I like to run up and down the stadium steps. I say like, you're probably thinking that guy's crazy. Running stadium steps is not fun. Well, it's not fun, but it's something I do to try to keep myself in shape. Well, I need to wind down this video. So far, I've told you about my educational background. I've told you about my interest in woodworking. I've talked about the interest I have in bridges, bridge construction, and bridge construction safety. I've also talked about how I like to work out 5 to 6 times a week. At least 4 times a week, I make it a priority. A couple of other interests that I haven't talked about, I'll go ahead and just say a few words about those interests. I'm interested in genealogy. I have kind of an interesting family history, which I'm not going to go into all the details, but because of that interesting family history, I got into genealogy about 7 or 8 years ago. I look at historical records, trying to identify ancestors from the past, and I also have submitted my DNA to several different services that do DNA analysis. And from that work, I've been able to go back about 20 generations in my family history. I've identified over 900 direct line ancestors. I've learned that I'm about 45% Scandinavian, which would be Norway, Sweden, Denmark, a little bit of Finland perhaps. That's from the DNA, where I've learned the 45% Scandinavian. I've also learned that I'm 2% indigenous peoples, which would be Native American, which that's also been verified in the historical documents record. I've been able to identify several Cherokee ancestors, names like Six Killer and Ellis and other non-Indian sounding names, but there is the Cherokee connection there. The Cherokee connection goes back to about the 1700s. I've been able to specifically identify ancestors from the Netherlands, from northern Scotland, all over the British Isles, and also the Scandinavian countries. There's also, according to my DNA, there's also a small percentage of Italian. But yeah, I've said enough about that. That's one of my interests. If you'd like to learn more about my interest in genealogy, come on by the office. We can talk about it. Another interest I have, and it's an interest more by necessity than anything else, but I really enjoy it. That's just getting out around the house and working. I've mentioned my pecans in one of the earlier parts of the video. Working with pecan trees, building retaining walls with native stone, and just general yard maintenance. I would rather be outside working in the yard when it's 100 degrees than inside the house watching TV. It's hard for me to sit still. I always want to be doing something. I always want to be moving. And yard work helps to meet that need. I have to always have something going on. I haven't talked about my family, my immediate family. I am married. I've been married for 35 years. I'll be 36 years next July. I have 2 children. Dalton, who is 25 and is a graduate of Pomona College. My daughter is 23. Her name is Lauren, and she's a graduate of Oklahoma Baptist University in Shawnee. You're probably asking, well, why didn't they go to NSU? That's a good question. NSU is a good school, and I encourage everybody and anyone to consider NSU, especially the EHS program. But the reason they didn't go to NSU, I wasn't teaching at NSU at the time. Even though I was a graduate, I wasn't teaching at NSU. They had some really good scholarship offers from some pretty good schools. Pomona College is one of the top-ranked schools in the United States. My son had the opportunity to go out to California and spend 4 years at Pomona College, and it was a great experience for him. He's back in Oklahoma now. He's looking to possibly move to New Mexico. My daughter, same deal. She had a really good scholarship to Oklahoma Baptist University. She's now in Oklahoma City, or living in Oklahoma City, working in Oklahoma City. My most important interest right now in this phase of my life, and I really consider this a hobby, a joy, a passion, that's working with students, helping you become safety professionals. I want to give you the information you need, the skills you need. I want to prepare you to work as a safety professional. The knowledge and the skill that you acquire in our program will prepare you for those positions. It will also help prepare you for certification exams. And that's really my passion. That's why I retired basically from field safety management, came back to NSU. I wanted to share my knowledge, my experience. And because of that experience, more than my knowledge, I can give students a pretty good idea of what they can expect when they get that first full-time safety management position. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and close out now, but I do encourage you, if you have any questions about the Environmental Health and Safety Management Program, to give me a call. My information is on the screen. Give me a call, send me an email, come by the office if you're already an NSU student. If you're not an NSU student and you're trying to decide which college you want to go to, seriously consider NSU and the Environmental Health and Safety Management Program. One of the cool things that's just recently happened, this is December 2020, I'm on Christmas break. I just found out last week that our program received the Qualified Academic Program designation, which that is a really good thing for our program. More importantly, it's a good thing for you, for students graduating from our program. It will help you find jobs. It will make it easier to get good jobs. It will also help you when you're ready to take the certification exams. And if you'd like to know more about the QAP designation, give me a call. My favorite thing in the world is to talk about safety, the safety profession. So any questions you have, I'm available. All right, have a good day, and I will see you in class, hopefully.